You reached for a book last week and the words were softer than they were 6 months ago. That's not just age. It's your macula thinning, losing a pigment that works like internal sunglasses, one your body can't produce and most people over 60 are running low on. Miss it, and night driving and reading go first. I'll show you the single fruit, proven in a 12-week study, that builds that pigment back. And I want to be clear from the start. This is not a video about supplements you have to order or a complicated regimen you have to follow. It's about one fruit you almost certainly walk past every week at the grocery store, and the specific reason it protects the exact part of your eye that fails first as you age. By the end, you'll know which fruit it is, why it works, and a simple, honest way to eat it starting tomorrow. But before we get there, I need you to understand what's actually happening inside your aging eye. Because once you see the mechanism, the rest of this makes sense in a way that no list of top foods for vision ever will. Let me start with the part of your eye that matters most. It's called the macula. It's a tiny region at the center of your retina, about the size of a pencil eraser. And that small spot is responsible for almost everything you think of as sharp vision. Reading, recognizing a face across the room, seeing the numbers on your phone, threading a needle. All of that razor-sharp central vision comes from the macula. Here's what makes it extraordinary, and also extraordinarily vulnerable. The macula holds a set of pigments, made mostly from two compounds called lutein and zeaxanthin. Think of them as a pair of internal sunglasses. They sit right in front of your most sensitive vision cells and absorb the high-energy blue light before it can reach them. They are a chemical shield built into the center of your eye. And the research on this is striking. Studies published in the journal Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science have shown that people with higher macular pigment density have significantly lower risk of developing age-related macular degeneration. That condition, AMD, is the leading cause of irreversible vision loss in adults over 50 in the developed world. Not a small reduction in risk, a significant one. Now here is the part almost nobody explains clearly. Your body cannot manufacture lutein or zeaxanthin on its own, not a single molecule. Every bit of that protective pigment came from the food you've eaten across your whole life. And as the years go on, if you're not replenishing it, it thins. And most people are not replenishing it. A national nutrition survey found that the average American takes in somewhere around 1 to 2 milligrams of lutein and zeaxanthin per day. Researchers generally consider 6 milligrams of lutein and about 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin to be a meaningful protective target. Look at that gap, 1 to 2, against a target of 6. That gap is quiet, it's invisible, and most people don't know it exists until something goes wrong. So the real question isn't just which foods contain these nutrients. It's which food delivers them in a form your body can actually absorb, and that a normal person will realistically eat again and again for years. And that's where the answer surprises people. Most people guess berries. Berries are excellent, and I'll come back to them. Some guess citrus, also good. Some guess papaya or mango because they've read about beta-carotene. But when you look specifically at the studies that measured macular pigment as an outcome, one fruit keeps coming up. It is the number one fruit for this. Kiwi. Yes, the small green fruit, smaller than your fist, that sits quietly in the produce aisle for $1 or less. Here's why it earns the top spot. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, a landmark paper in this field, followed a group of adults over a 12-week period. The people who ate 3 kiwis a day showed a meaningful, measurable increase in their macular pigment. This is not theoretical. This is a measured change in the actual pigment, protecting the center of the retina. Why does kiwi perform so well? 3 reasons, and each one protects a different part of your eye. First, lutein. Kiwi contains lutein, and just as importantly, The lutein in kiwi appears to be bioavailable, meaning your body actually absorbs and uses it. That matters more than the raw amount, because lutein from some foods passes straight through you, unabsorbed. Second, vitamin C, ounce for ounce. Kiwi is one of the most vitamin C-dense fruits there is. A single kiwi delivers more vitamin C than an orange of the same size. And vitamin C matters specifically for the lens of your eye. The lens holds one of the highest concentrations of vitamin C of any tissue in your body, and it uses that vitamin C to defend its own proteins against the slow oxidative damage that, over decades, clouds them into cataracts. The large age-related eye disease study identified vitamin C as one of the key nutrients tied to a lower risk of cataract progression. Third, vitamin E. Kiwi contains vitamin E, which protects the membranes of your photoreceptor cells, the rods and cones that turn light into the signals your brain reads. Vitamin E is fat-soluble, so it works inside the fatty membranes of those cells in a way water-soluble vitamins simply can't reach. So, in one small fruit you have lutein for the macula, vitamin C for the lens, and vitamin E for the photoreceptors. 3 layers of protection, 3 different parts of the eye at the same time. Let me tell you about a man I'll call Arthur. He was 68. He didn't come in with a crisis. His wife had just noticed he was squinting more at the dinner table, and at his last eye exam he'd been told his macular pigment was on the low side. Not dangerous yet, but low enough to pay attention to. Arthur thought he ate fairly well. Lots of cooked vegetables, some salad, the occasional piece of fruit. The problem was absorption. He was eating lutein-containing foods, but mostly in ways that limited how much of it his body could actually take in. So he made one change first. He started eating 2 kiwis a day, one with breakfast, one in the afternoon. He also started adding half an avocado to his lunch salad a few times a week, specifically to help absorb everything else on the plate. 8 months later, at his follow-up, his eye measurements were holding stable and looked better than expected for his age. He put it simply. He said, "I think the kiwis are working. One person's story doesn't prove cause and effect, but the mechanism is sound, the research is consistent, and Arthur still eats his kiwis." Now here's the piece that almost no video on eye health ever mentions, and it's the reason Arthur added that avocado. Eating the right nutrients is only half the equation. The other half is whether your body can absorb them at all. Kiwi has a hidden advantage here. It contains an enzyme called actinidin, which is specific to kiwi fruit. Research from the Plant and Food Research Institute has shown that actinidin helps your body digest and absorb the proteins in a meal eaten alongside it. Why does that matter for your eyes? Because as we age, digestion becomes less efficient. The stomach makes less acid, enzyme production drops, and the nutrients that should be feeding your eye cells start arriving in smaller amounts. Kiwi helps bridge that gap. It's not just a source of nutrients, it's a nutrient enhancer for the whole meal. And this connects to something you may already be doing. If you eat leafy greens, spinach, kale, the lutein in them is fat-soluble. Eating those greens with a little fat can increase the lutein you absorb by 4 to 5 times compared to eating them with no fat at all. That's the difference between getting real protection from your meal and getting almost none. Now, I want to be honest with you, because honesty is more respectful than hype. 2 kiwis a day will not restore vision that's already been seriously lost. If you have advanced macular degeneration, kiwi will not reverse it. If your cataracts have progressed to the point where surgery is on the table, this is not the answer to that conversation. What the research supports is prevention and slowing, protecting the pigment in eyes that still have it, supporting lens clarity in eyes that haven't yet crossed the line. The window for food to make a difference is not after the damage is done. The window is now, while the machinery still works. That's exactly why this matters most for people who are 60, 65, and 70 and still seeing well. If this is helping you understand something new, do me a favor and let me know you're here. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and when was the last time you genuinely worried about your eyesight? I read them. Now, Kiwi is the anchor. But the eye is a system, and no single food does everything. So let me give you the supporting cast. Blueberries. Their deep color comes from anthocyanins, antioxidants, with a specific affinity for the body's small blood vessels. Your retina is fed by some of the most delicate blood vessels in your circulation, and anthocyanins help support the walls of those vessels and the microcirculation your retina depends on. A study in the British Journal of Nutrition found that anthocyanins, closely related to those in blueberries, were tied to improvements in retinal blood flow. A handful, several mornings a week is plenty, and frozen works just as well as fresh, at a fraction of the price. Avocado. This is the absorption multiplier. Avocado gives you meaningful lutein and the fat you need to absorb it in one package. Researchers at Ohio State University measured that half an avocado can raise the lutein absorption from the rest of your meal by 4 to 5 times compared to a fat-free dressing. That's not a small effect. That's most of the difference. Oranges. Whole oranges, not juice. The whole fruit gives you vitamin C along with bioflavonoids in the white pith under the peel, and those work in partnership with vitamin C to support the small vessels of the eye and protect the lens. The Blue Mountains Eye Study, one of the largest studies of diet and eye disease, found that people with the highest vitamin C intake had significantly lower rates of one common type of cataract over 10 years. Here's what a simple weekly rhythm looks like. No measuring, no schedule, in the mornings 2 kiwis with breakfast. That's your anchor. That's the non-negotiable part. 3 or 4 mornings a week, a small bowl of blueberries alongside. A few times a week, half an avocado on your lunch salad or on toast to amplify everything else. Most days, a whole orange in the afternoon. And now and then, a few slices of papaya or mango. That's the whole program. No supplements, nothing exotic, nothing complicated. But there's one more thing, because I've seen people do everything right with their diet and still lose ground. And when I looked at why, the answer wasn't the food. It was blood sugar. Diabetic retinopathy, the eye damage from chronically high blood sugar, is now the leading cause of new blindness in working-age adults in the United States. And here's what many people don't realize. You don't have to be diabetic for blood sugar to hurt your eyes. Even pre-diabetes, blood sugar that's elevated but not yet in the diabetic range is linked to early changes in the small vessels of the retina, changes that show up before any symptoms. A 2018 study in the journal Diabetes Care found retinal changes in pre-diabetic people that mirrored the early stages of diabetic retinopathy. The small vessels of the retina are among the first casualties of high sugar, and the damage adds up over years. The fruits I've recommended are generally low to moderate on the glycemic scale: kiwi, blueberries, and avocado especially. But if you have diabetes or prediabetes, the amount and timing of even healthy fruit matters, and that's a conversation worth having with your doctor. Blood sugar isn't separate from eye health, it's central to it. So let me leave you with this. Your vision isn't luck. It's the long result of how you feed and care for your body, decade after decade. You learned today why the macula is the target that matters most, that kiwi has the most complete profile for protecting it, the supporting cast that amplifies it, and why blood sugar control isn't optional. There's one thing I didn't cover, and it may matter even more once damage is already started. There's a specific combination of nutrients that research suggests can actively slow early macular degeneration once it's begun, not prevent it, slow it. It's not a fruit. And the dosing, which matters enormously, is something almost nobody explains correctly. That's the next video. If you want to catch it, subscribe so you don't miss it. Your eyes have shown you the world your whole life. Give them the same faithfulness in return. Take care of yourself and take care of your vision.